December 6th, 2021, the same day that CrimeCon would post this hour-long interview panel with the family of Liberty German, ISP released the following announcement via YouTube.
While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images, obtain their address, and attempt to meet with them. Pictured on your screen, you'll see images of the known male model and the images of the fictitious profile sent to the underage females. We have already identified the male in these images that were used by Anthony Schatz. The male in the photo is not the person of interest in the investigation. Detectives are seeking information about the person who created the Anthony Schatz profile. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, abbyandlibbytip@cacoshrf.com. Please provide as much information as you possibly can. For example, when you communicated with Anthony Schatz, how you communicated with the profile, what social media applications the account used, and if Anthony Schatz attempted to meet you or obtain your address. If you have saved images or conversations with Anthony Schatz profile, please attach them to your email.
Anthony Schatz. Ever heard of him?
I wish. New information to us as of last night before everybody else, but still new information. I'm kind of torn. I would never want to think that social media was a connection in this. But also, I do hope that there's a connection now. Obviously, we want justice. We want this to be over. And if that's the connection that has to be made to get justice.
Later that week, on December 9th, HLN's Barbara McDonald did a jailhouse interview with Kegan Klein, and parts of this interview aired in the February 2022 5-year special.
So why do you think investigators are putting so much focus on you right now?
I have not a clue. I think it's because they said I was the last person to talk to her, is what they've told me.
And then she shows up at the bridge and they're abducted and later found dead.
Right.
Kegan Klein, he was brought up several times in our reporting tonight. He has not been named as a suspect. Has he been questioned in relation to this case, and why release that fake social media account? What was the purpose of that?
Yeah, again, a very dynamic situation and very strategic decision to do that. And what I can say about Kegan Klein is when that was released not long ago, significant tips have come in that have been very meaningful to us. So we're just beginning with the Anthony Schatz profile and what that might mean to the Delphi homicides.
Do you think it's possible that your sister and Abby were communicating with this account?
I think that the account is definitely important and that we have to keep sharing it and putting it out there because for whatever reason, law enforcement thinks it's important.
In early March, the Kegan Klein transcripts were released, and this included an August 2020 interrogation with police, as well as the December 2021 HLN interview with Barbara McDonald. So it appears that these documents were filed on March 3rd in the Miami County Clerk's office, which presumably is how the murder sheet got a hold of them. After the release of these documents, Miss Kelsi would change her tune on the subject of the Anthony Schatz profile. When some noticed, Barbara asked Kegan a very interesting question on page 4 of the HLN interview. So, do you remember the night of the 13th, the night the girls went missing? Do you remember communicating with Kelsi German? And Kegan responded no, that he did not. So as you know, we had to take this Kegan Klein transcript information with a grain of salt just because questions asked or information stated by law enforcement in an interview or interrogation is not to be taken as fact because they can say or do pretty much what they need to in order to get the confession. But because Ms. Kelsi ran straight to Facebook to debunk the rumors, she did confirm that on the night of the 13th, she was in contact with the Anthony Schatz profile. I'm not sure why people are so upset about it. I've said many times that there are things I am still remembering to this day, and as I remember them, law enforcement is made aware immediately. I contacted several people that I found Libby had been in contact with the evening of February 13th as we were sitting in the police station. I was trying to get as much information as I could to figure out where the girls were. Anthony Schatz ended up being one of the accounts I messaged. Law enforcement has the details of that conversation, but just know that the short discussion I had with the account threw up no red flags and gave no indication that the account knew anything of Libby and Abby's whereabouts. It was a 5-minute conversation. I never talked to the account again, and I didn't think about it again until years later. Not only do I now have to live with the fact that I communicated with an account that could possibly be connected to my sister's death, as if that's not traumatic enough, I now have to watch groups dissect my intentions and twist my every word in a million directions. No matter what I say, someone will always have something negative to say about it. I hope those people have the day they deserve. I hope today is the day. I hope this is over soon. I hope someday the true crime community will learn that the way family members of murder victims are treated is horrendous and not okay.
Yeah, again, a very dynamic situation and very strategic decision to do that.
And the only person right now that you're telling me had access to the Anthony Schatz account was you. And the only person that used your phone for the Anthony Schatz account was you. So, yeah, that doesn't mean I killed 2 people. I didn't say that, but you did sure tell her then that you were supposed to meet her and she didn't show up, though. Because that's evidence. That's true fact evidence, okay? So let's just focus on that 1-minute detail, that conversation that happened, that went back and forth again, and I'll refresh your mind where the girl contacted Anthony Schatz and said, "Did you hear what happened to Liberty?" And Anthony Schatz responded, "OMG, what happened?" And then she goes and tells him what happened, and then Anthony Schatz says, "Well, I was supposed to meet that girl, but she never showed up." So let's focus on that one conversation of evidence we know is true, and it doesn't matter if you remember or not.
And thank you to True Crime Design for that video. And I will be linking it down in the description below so that all of you can go check it out on her channel and check out everything else on her channel. So welcome in, everyone. Today is Monday, October 28, 2024. Welcome to all of you. And let me say hello to you before we get started. Rebecca Ann, Amy Dunn, Elena Davidson, Jojo, Nancy Drew, Four Pitts, Dawn Steele, Lisa, Swade Smith, It's a New Day, artist formerly known, Ding Dong, Adrian, Fur Baby Daddy, Sunflower Soul, Kernoodles, Jay Marsh, Noe Amos, Amy Dunn, Four Pitts, and Westy, Housebroken. Thank you for the super sticker. It's a new day. Thank you. Okay. And I think we got everyone. No, here we go. We have KLL. And Amy. Hey, Amy. All right. Cromley. True crime addict. Say what? All right. All right. So everyone, welcome in. Good to see you. And I know that a lot of people are just catching up on today's developments in the Delphi murders case against Richard Allen. And right now, you probably have 4 lawyers doing live streams about it. So we are aware of that. And they're going to do what they're going to do, and we're going to do what we're going to do. So we want to welcome everyone who's in here to our show and invite everyone who's just watching to join the chat. It's a really nice chat to join. So I hope that you express yourself in the chat and get to know everyone. So we're glad to see you. Tonight's show is called Is Kelsi German a Monster? And there's a reason for that. So we'll be jumping off. And the place we're jumping off from tonight is that some of you have been aware for a little bit that there was hair found clenched in the dead hand of Abby Williams, pulled out by the root. Yes, there was. And today, our DNA expert testified that that hair belonged to one Kelsi German. Now, when this news first came out a couple weeks ago, the trolls were already trying to get ahead of it, something these people do well. Okay? They were trying to get out ahead of this. But it makes sense because, in my opinion, the family itself has been trying to get out ahead of this for 7.5 years. Remember all the ad nauseum stories about making these girls take sweaters from the trunk. Yep. They made huge deals, not just Kelsi, but other family members. The entire family made huge deals about getting Kelsi's clothes on those girls. And for years, people have been speculating as to why they made such a big deal over something that no one would ever make a big deal about. Because the big deal is that you have 2 murder victims laying in the woods. You would think that they would be making a big deal about those 2 murder victims in the woods, not about the fact that I forced them to take sweatshirts. And so for years, people have wondered about that one point, because there's so many points like this. But the point has been, why the big deal over taking the sweaters? And we have all assumed for years there must be a reason. There must be a reason for that. Must be a reason to try to explain your DNA on those dead bodies. That would be the only logical conclusion or deduction that one could make. And that's the deduction we've made for years. You're trying to explain the presence of your DNA on those bodies. So, what do we learn today? The hair that has been speculated about in Abby's hand, after being washed, belongs to Kelsi. Well, without knowing this fact, a couple weeks ago, I came out with a theory. And my theory was there's only 2 explanations or scenarios that would cause a hair to be in that clenched fist, intertwined around the fingers. And the excuse that it came from the sweater doesn't fly. Doesn't fly at all. 0. So the 2 theories I came up with is A, or 1, it's someone who killed the girls, or 2, someone who struggled with moving the bodies. So either way, it's a struggle. Either way, because something had to cause that hand to grab onto hair, to pull it out from the root, and then it remained there. Whether the person's hand was alive or dead at that moment. So my assumption is whoever's hair was in that hand either was struggling with the living victim or struggling with the dead body. Now, the fact that today we are told it belongs to the sister, Kelsi German, does not change my assumptions. Actually, it reinforces because of the prior over-explaining those sweaters on those girls. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing Troll Farm did 2 weeks ago was immediately come out and say, it was on the sweater. Because that's the only acceptable excuse, you see? You get it? It's the only acceptable excuse is that it's already on the sweater, and that's how it ends up in the dead victim's hand. Because if that's not the way it ends up in that hand, you have a lot of explaining to do. So, if at a minimum you moved the bodies, would you be in a bit of a situation? Now, I noticed another thing today. I noticed another thing. Because this is very interesting too. It's not just Kelsi's hair that is in the hand of the victim. It's male DNA from the family, from the household, that's spread all over those victims. Possible semen, possible fingernail scrapings. Who knows what other touch DNA? Now, the gaslighting was correct around that DNA. In that, girls in a household who are sharing space with these other males possibly could have a little male DNA from those family members on their hands, under their fingernails, in their underwear, from the laundry. So, what could this be? Well, I think it's understandable what it could be. It could be that the girls were sexually active with some boys who are not in the family. Okay? Could also be boys in the family. Let's be honest here. But for argument's sake at this moment, let's just say that the semen traces are from the boyfriends. Family traces under the fingernails and on the clothing are from the family members. Possibly the male DNA is nothing. Okay, because we know the male DNA, the big thing about the male DNA is that it excludes Richard Allen. Okay, the male DNA excludes Richard Allen. It's possibly explainable and can be explained away by coming into contact with family members, possibly. But I noticed something today. And what I noticed was what should have been the headline story, which was Kelsi's hair pulled out by the root, tangled in Abby's hand. That was put on the back burner. And what they ran with instead is male DNA unidentifiable. They chose to make the story male DNA unidentifiable mixture. Never mind the hair in the hand. Do you understand what I'm saying here? This would mean a collusion on the part of the prosecutor to intentionally present meaningless male DNA right next to meaningful identification of the hair follicle to Kelsi German for the mere fact of distraction. These people are evil. In my mind, the hair pulled out from the root in the victim's hand is the bomb. But what is it with these cops? Forget not wanting to look at the sister. They never wanted to look at a female, period. Because unlike any other investigator, they start off with an assumption that clearly it must have been a male and a lone wolf male who murdered these girls. No reason to allow the possibility that a female would be involved in some way. And you add to that the anomalies, like Abby is not dressed in the clothing that she should have been dressed in according to the story for 7.5 years. Sorry, trying to catch up with the chat. So, how do you explain all of this? Why? Now, remember all the stuff about the phone or the Snapchats and all the iCloud and all the bullshit, right? The bullshit. Well, what's odd about the bullshit? Kelsi German. Why? Who had the logins to all the social media? Why do we have anomalies with the Snapchats? Who was the last person to have contact with those girls? Who had that iPad that was connected to iCloud? And do you realize how iCloud works? You can go in and delete things. In other words, iCloud is basically like a clone. So let's say Libby's phone is over there. Someone at home has an iPad with Libby's iCloud on it. They can go in there, they can delete photos, they can delete videos, they can send text, they can delete text, they can delete videos, they can delete photos. Anything they do here is going to reflect on that phone over there. And who was that? Not only that, who was catfishing her sister, pretending to be cute boys? Who was also in touch with Anthony Schatz? Who lied about being in touch with Anthony Schatz? Who created the timeline with Gray Hughes? Who went to college to figure out how to be a better criminal mind? And you wonder why people have questions? Who became her sister after her sister's brutal murder? Was she jealous of Libby because Libby was growing into puberty? Personally, I think it's real bad. And honestly, at this point, you have more evidence that Kelsi killed those girls than that Richard Allen killed those girls. You have more tying Kelsi to the crime scene than you have tying Richard Allen to the crime scene. Last one to see the victims. So why tonight, is everyone not covering that hair in that hand? Law enforcement, FBI, questions her how many times? In any other murder investigation, the following facts would most definitely implicate this person as a person of interest or a flat out suspect. 1. Familial relation. A person known to both of the victims. Anyone would tell you that the family is always the first to be looked at in the murders of children. Okay. Two, the last person to see the victims alive. Three, the person who drops off takes the victims to the location where they will ultimately be found dead later. The very last person to contact the victims. That's who you talk to first. Four, a person with access to one or both of the victims' phones. A means of making contact with the outside world in case of emergency. You have access to the passcodes to those phones and to the social media accounts, which is 5. 5 is a person who oversees and has access to many of the passcodes to all the social media apps, which can later be accessed and manipulated. One through 5 are solid nexus points. Direct involvement with the evidence and the victims. You can go in there, you can delete evidence, you can change evidence, you can manipulate evidence because you have the passwords. You possibly have access to the devices. Where's Abby's phone? Meaning the phone that Abby was using. Also, the same person who drops off or last is with the victims. Also, the last person to claim to see the victims alive and well. Also, a familial relation. Is that not enough for you? 5 major nexus points to the victims. There's more, though. 6, this person has multiple alibis. Multiple. Inconsistent statements. Regarding her whereabouts leading up to, during, and after the disappearance of both victims. Showered, washed a vehicle, missed phone calls. Seven, a person who needed to be interviewed by the FBI 5, 6, 7 times due to bull BS, inconsistencies, lies about the murder of your little sister. Eight, a person who has no true way to prove their whereabouts around the times the girls go missing, because the phone was never analyzed, never dumped, never investigated. That goes for the entire family. And finally, 9, a person who had their hair from the root pulled out and wrapped around the finger of one of the victims after that victim had been washed and dressed. A person who herself then went to wash a vehicle, wash her body, miss phone calls, go to work for 5 minutes, which was also another story that changed multiple times. Let's just say in some other random case, all of those points could be made about someone. That person would definitely become a person of interest, or B, suspect. Even C, charged with the murders. So, do you understand what I'm saying here with this list? And I'd like to thank my friend for helping me with this. So why did law enforcement not do their job? Remember, they only tested this hair weeks ago because the defense brought it up. I'm not arguing with anyone in the chat who's trying to gaslight tonight. I see it's already happening. So we will let it. I'm trying to do a good job tonight, which is I had some complaints. So for one time only, let me get her name right. So she will know we're talking about her. Martha Somerset. Martha Somerset was upset that I used bad words. So I figured tonight I would give Martha Somerset a one-time gift, which was make this stream kid-friendly. Excuse me. Well, thought I had to sneeze and it didn't work out. So I may randomly sneeze. So excuse me. Feel like I'm going to sneeze again. Why would she say I wish when asked about Anthony Shots? When she damn well knew that she had communicated with the Anthony Shots account. Thank you, Lambert. Yep, we have a whole bunch of watch that language, Prof. Martha says so. Whole bunch of shenanigans around the phones and the accounts. Okay, so we had multiple devices. Remember, the phone that we're calling Libby's phone means the phone that Libby had with her that day. Doesn't mean it was her phone. It was also reset the weekend prior because of a sleepover. What were they trying to hide? Why would she say she didn't have any photos to post to Instagram? Because that's not how it works. You take a photo and post it to Instagram. Whose phone did Abby have? Where is that phone now? Pardon me, I'm having this sneeze moment and it's just not happening. That's a terrible feeling when you feel like you have to sneeze for 5 minutes. All right, so yeah, the Anthony shots. Was Anthony Shots recruiting young girls for pornographic material production? I would say so. Uh, so how long are they going to think that the excuse that Kelsey's hair, which was ripped out from the root, clenched in the dead fist of Abby Williams, was there because her arm went through a sweater? You see, as I said, you either killed the girls and struggled with them, or you moved the bodies. That's the only two excuses for the hair. Um, like I said, what they want everyone to be discussing tonight and the next several days is all the male DNA on these girls. You see, they want everyone to be talking about, oh, what are these male DNA partial profiles? Why is there traces of semen? Well, obviously the girls were sexually active. They lived with a bunch of males. There may be male on them. Yes, male DNA, fragmentary or touch DNA. But it's odd, isn't it, that the only forensic evidence found at the crime scene points right back at the sister. Was she looked at? There is the story that she was arguing with them vigorously at the drop-off, the alleged drop-off. That's one of the stories. I mean, you made a huge deal over explaining why your sweaters were on those girls. No story you ever told ever was consistent. You lied about communicating with Anthony Schatz. What else did you lie about? Let me see if I can sneeze. Now, I guarantee you what they tried to do. Um, like I said, they tried to introduce this concept of multiple male DNA partial fragments to make a big deal out of that, to cover for the fact that Kelsi's hair is in the dead victim's hand. Now, what's one thing they can never change? They can never change the fact that Kelsi's hair is pulled out from the root in Abby's hand. So that has to be dealt with. And no matter how they try to poo-poo it right now by downplaying it and focusing on the male profiles that don't match Richard Allen? It's a big deal. And in my opinion, it means one thing. Like I said, she either struggled with the living victim or she struggled with the dead body. So, another big deal story. Watched a movie with my boyfriend's daddy. Really? Who does that? Who does that? I don't believe it. It's kind of creepy unless you're sleeping with him. Or were you sleeping with the boyfriend's daddy? Because that's another story. It doesn't smell right. The whole thing that I was watching a movie with my boyfriend's dad, and I ignored the phone calls from Gamma. Let's see what we got here. All right, so let's take a little look here at a few things. We'll go down some things to talk about. Cleaning out the truck. Do you think there was blood in that truck? Possibly. All right, so oh yeah, the whole thing about being a year. Couldn't talk to anyone about anything for a year. Watching a movie, hanging out with the boyfriend's dad, ignoring phone calls from Gamma, after taking a shower. Okay, 10 and a half months. And then you come out swinging, gaslighting, lying, narrative spinning. Yeah, so 2017, I had a conversation with a family member. A family member asked me, "Do you think a family member is involved?" You think? You know what was funny about the James Renner thing? Think about it. Who brought up the shack? Then the maniacal laughter? No, I'm talking about in the interview with James Renner, she brought up the shack. And then maniacally laughed. Sweatshirt story, an obvious way to get ahead of DNA. Was the number one major red flag. Then cleaning the truck was a number two red flag. Yeah, so it's sick. It's sick. So anyway, the DNA, what you're going to see now is that they're all going to run with the male DNA profiles. Male DNA, male DNA, male DNA, semen traces, male DNA. And 98% are going to not talk about Kelsey's hair in the dead victim's hands. Now, think about it. If you have 7, 8, 11, 15 people, she's just one of them. She's just one of them. Doesn't mean she killed the girls. But it could mean that there's some involvement with the situation, especially in the moving of bodies. Oh, Abby went to the trunk to retrieve it. Well, now we're going to explain Abby's hair in the trunk, possibly. Actually, Jay Marsh, I was thinking about that in the shower today. That's exactly what I was thinking about in the shower. Exactly this. Well, I hope so. I hope they talk about it, but I'm telling you, I'm talking about the mainstream media, the YouTube talking heads, and the Facebookers. Everybody's going to be talking about male DNA that's not identifiable so that they don't have to talk about Kelsi's hair in Abby's hand. Excuse me. Oh, trust me, because we've seen how they do things. Well, that's easy. She didn't go through the creek. That's easy. There was no going through the creek. Okay, so what I was saying is you're going to hear no talk of Kelsey's hair in Abby's dead hand. You're going to hear instead talk of there's multiple male DNA profiles, but they're all partial and they're all mixed and they're all contaminated. We can't identify, but they don't match Richard Allen. That's what you're going to hear. But hey, here's where they fucked up. They've already called me a family blamer, already called me a conspiracy theorist, already went after my kids, already went after me, already went after my family, already called me an idiot, already done this, and this. So you know what? You fucked up because I don't care to be the only one talking about it. Okay, so Libby's jeans. Oh, a freshly painted room with drywall dust and mud on top of the can. Yeah. Let's see, where was I? Libby's jeans end up on Abby. Are they Libby's jeans? That's the thing that we've constantly been circling. Are you noticing a pattern here with a spiraling, circling motion that it always comes about or back around to this spiraling over the point that everything's always been inconsistent, ridiculous, and a lie. Every single point, I was saying that to someone yesterday, every single point has always been conflicting, difficult, complicated, inconsistent, a lie, exaggerated. Hmm. All right. I used to digital. I don't even know if I have a track on that anymore. But yes, I used to. You think it's Kelsey's genes? I don't know whose genes it is. But I always knew this. There's a reason where you're trying to explain why clothes out of your trunk are on those girls. And I wonder this. Did those clothes on Abby end up on Abby after she's dead? In other words, not off of Libby? You get what I'm putting down here? In other words, if Kelsey had those clothes in her trunk, Abby's dead, Libby's dead. They go retrieve the clothes out of Kelsey's trunk, put onto Abby for some reason. Whoops, that's supposed to be muted. All right, so see what we got here. Oh, another one. I'm glad you brought this up, D Smiles. We Conquer and Divide said Mike, Patty. But do you remember what Kelsey said? Kelsey said, when there's a problem, we all come together and we deal with it and make it go away or something. Does anyone know the specific quote there? I don't have it at the tip of my tongue. Yeah, remember that phrase? Help me out. Help me out with it. When there's a problem, we all pull together and we blah, 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 and we make it go away or whatever. Is this why you can't be a family basher? You know, it seems like maybe because Kelsi was involved, they viciously protect the family and have people doing their bidding protecting the family, which means you will be attacked if you do anything in the direction of the family because they are viciously protecting Kelsey's involvement in this situation. Good point. Maybe they thought she would live. Remember all of these stories about Abby dying right after she's found? No, I didn't notice that Sunflower Soul. Please send it to me. I don't remember that one. Is that where it was? I don't remember. I just remember the words to my ears were very disturbing. When we have we're a good family, blah blah blah. When there's a problem, we all pull together, blah blah blah, and we take care of it. All right, so Let's see. I wanted to get something together for you, but it might take me a while. I'll miss some of the chat. Let's see. Carry on. Talk amongst yourselves while I get this together. Let's see what I do here. Sorry, it's taking a minute. Come on. That's not it. Okay. Oh, it's taking longer than I wanted. Come on. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, point being that the mainstream media is just not going to do it. Very few of the YouTubers will do it, but oh Lord. Oh, we got dead air because I'm trying to do this. So maybe I'll give up on it. So, I mean, at this point, let's do a quick recap while I'm getting this together. We have both bodies moved and staged. Okay. Whoever told you that those bodies were not, I'll have to search again. Whoever told you those bodies were not moved and were not staged, well, they're confusing you. They were moved and staged. Okay. Okay, just a minute. Let's see. There we go. Oh, got it. All right. Okay, so see the chat here. No one fought till the end. We know that. We know about fighting till the end, that there's zero defensive wounds at all. That's what I was getting at, was a crime scene. Okay, so let's back it up. There's very, very odd blood distribution and splatter around. Both girls are moved and staged. No, Sam, that's okay. Let's read this, because what we're going to do, we're going to what do you call it? I would call it ghost bus the ghost. Okay, so this is a ghost. So this right here, what you're saying is bull. This is what it looks like. This is part of the staging. They want you to believe that the girls crossed the creek, okay, and their clothes were removed, and something like you're saying, possibly removed before they even cross the creek, or in the process of crossing the creek, they get pulled off, blah, 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 blah. This is all part of the staging. Understand, the girls were both nude. They were both moved and staged. Abby was redressed in some other clothes. Who knows what those clothes were? Libby, whatever clothes are in the creek were intentionally placed in that creek. Oh, just a moment. Okay, thank you. I feel better. Yeah, please hit the like, everyone, and please support the channel. We have some funding pathways. All right. Welcome, Kiwi. Welcome, Sandy D. The blood was still wet. In that last half hour. Good point there. Good point there. Yeah, I think there's something weird. It was all staged. Okay. Okay, we're great. Oh, is that true? Andrea saying today was the first time she saw jurors drop their poker face, roll their eyes, and shake their head in disgust with the state. People need to stop being scared little bees and say, "What's up?" in this Satan city. Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at. We need to do it on here on the internet, because people have been scared into submission because you were forbidden to question the family whatsoever without receiving death threats and the like. Okay? They call you family bashers, call you conspiracy theorists, they call you idiots. Okay? They threaten your life. They harass you constantly. They call your employers. Why would the family have people doing this for them on their behalf? And why would the stories never line up? Like, who would ever lie? Let me ask you guys a question. Who of you would ever lie about the brutal murders of your loved ones? No way transferred hair get wrapped around the finger, especially when at least one strand apparently had a root which required force to remove from the hair. Yeah. No fucking way. That's why I said that story is out the window. Okay, and you know why else it's out the window? Because these troll farm creators, when the news broke there was a hair, the very first thing they did was run out and said it was in the sweater when she put her arm through it. I mean, it's gotten to the point where that's all you have to do is watch and see what they're going to say to understand what the BS is. And then once you hear what the BS is, then you know what the truth is. Not like other families. Sometimes I'm like, you're doing it wrong. When we feel like we don't want to do this anymore, we just keep pushing. Conquer and divide. Oh, look at who it is. Okay. Thanks for showing up. We're going to get the screenshots going. Okay. Got you documented, and you're out of here. That's how fast it happens. I figured there'd be a couple of you come in tonight. Okay. Peace. Go back under the bridge. Okay. Here's what I'm saying about the sister. Yeah, she's a monster. That's what I'm saying about the sister. So take that and run with it. Well, I am concerned with this one point. I'm glad you brought it up, Andrea. I'll get to your comment. Just hold on. Kelsi said Libby's phone pinged off 2 different towers, leading some to believe the phone had moved. Pings happened. Blah, 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 blah. It's all been BS from these people. If they say it, you know it's not true. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, maybe one of those jurors watched one of our channels and went in knowing what's up. All right. So where was that? Let's see. Oh, you mean about the DNA? I see. Now, here's what Andrea said I wanted to touch on. 72 hairs. What do you out there know about the number 72, especially in relation not only to the occult, but to this crime and the Masons? That number right there highly concerns me. Okay. They go super high up in the ranks. Look at how they're trying to restrict the public from the trial. Yes, exactly. And you know, let's cover that point because that happened today as well. So this POS corrupt, dirty judge decided that she would block public access to this trial because she knows what it is. So because she's legally obliged to allow some individuals in the courtroom, the public is stuck having to travel to the area, wait in line all through the course of the night. Old ladies are having to wait in line in the cold throughout the course of the night to physically put their bodies in that cramped little courtroom to be able to have the privilege of witnessing this trial. So much so that they've been doing it for over a week and a half, or just about a week and a half, some 2 weeks. They're tired. One of them nodded off or fell asleep today and got scolded. By this POS judge. That's what you're dealing with. Okay, so I'm just trying to see. Good one, Cromley. Why no public access? Gull takes vampire naps in her chamber coffin. Yeah. Ridiculous that people old ladies have to line up in the middle of the night in the cold to get into that courtroom, and she's scolding that one of them fell asleep. What's up, J Dick? That's funny, yeah. Figuratively or literally the title, because it might be a yes either way. Thank you. Wait, no. I missed it. Thank you, JC Marty. Yeah, everyone go watch True Crime Design. I'm going to link her. Video down in the description. Thank you, D Smiles. That's what I'm talking about. That's part of it there. Okay. Goes higher in ranks. New to Delphi, but it reminds me of Karen Reed. Yeah, imagine if you could see it. Just imagine if you could see it. All right, so let me see if I can pull this up for you. So I meant to do this, and we're kind of late with it, but let's get it going. Okay, here we go.
So how did the Indiana State Police become involved with the Abby and Libby case, and were they classified as missing persons at the time?
We got involved the day after the girls went missing. And we've been involved ever since, in large part because of the amount of resources that the ISP has that most local agencies don't. And of course, I committed any resource that we have within the ISP until this case comes to conclusion.
Let's make sure I can hear you. Okay, and what?
Doesn't he look like he wants to kill her? I'm just saying. Just saying. Doesn't it look like he wants to kill her?
What is the standard procedure for your department when you get a call about a missing person, specifically a missing child?
All hands on deck. We're gonna respond, and there's never a one size fits all to any kind of a call like that. They're always different. It could be age, it could be mental stability, it could be a domestic situation. We never take them lightly, I guess is what I'm saying to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not. So there are 4, this is just kind of to clarify, there are 4 various jurisdictions involved, is that correct? They have the ISP, Delphi, Carroll County, these are the same, and then the FBI?
Yes. And then, but remember, we've also reached out to a lot of other agencies in Indiana where we have tips. Mm-hmm. So just as from the state police perspective, we have had detectives here from every one of our posts around Indiana. We have 14 of them. So over about 150 people within the ISP have touched this in some way or another. So there are a lot of other agencies too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the 4 primary ones though.
Yeah, there's a lot. I work at Kohl's. So I met a police officer that works in Carmel who said he did a little bit on it, but he didn't he just heard about it through other people that he worked with. Yeah. And so we sat at the cash register and talked about it for about half an hour.
Oh, good. So who was it? Do you remember?
His name was Brett.
You see how he tried to get that intel? You see that? because he wanted to go and talk to that guy after this and go see what she told that guy. But I'll let it continue.
Carmel? He didn't tell me that.
Okay. Okay.
But his name is Brett, definitely.
Okay.
So what was each department's role in the case and how did you all work together?
Gosh, each department's role was to work at their maximum capacity, whatever that might be. Both Delphi City and Carroll County worked to their max capacity. They gave all the resources that they had, both in things and people, the same thing that we did as a state police agency. And then the FBI did the exact same. And we ended up leaning into the FBI in large part because we realized we weren't going to probably be able to manage this much data, especially the number of tips that were coming in. So that we recognized that was a deficit for us. But the FBI had it and they brought it in. So anything that we had, we were bringing it to Carroll County.
I think it was really cool that, like, I think that day, right after I heard that the girls were missing, or actually that they were gone, the FBI was there like hours later.
Right.
I think that I was actually questioned by an FBI agent the first day, maybe.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
How was it decided which department will ultimately take charge of the investigation?
That is a bit of a tough question right now, but I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a good way. We will continue to have the most resources attached to it, and I know that when the arrest is made, and I know that there will be, we'll do that together.
I think it's coming really soon, right?
I do too.
Yeah.
I do any day.
Yeah. I pray every day.
So
I'll sit in bed and like, Doug's gonna call me today. They're gonna call me.
Oh, you have no idea how much I'd love to be able to do that for you.
Oh yeah, I sit there and wait. I watch my phone. Do you know how many man hours and how much money has been spent on this case overall between all the agencies, or yours specifically?
Oh, I don't. I would have no idea. Well, millions of dollars.
That's a lot.
In time and anything that we needed. I remember specifically calling the governor that day because we didn't have the means by which we could purchase like food that quick. And I'll never forget he committed to me anything. He meant it.
Yeah, he did. He keeps in contact with us too sometimes, just with like the ball field and that kind of thing. And he's like, we're gonna make sure this gets solved.
Yeah, and he will too.
Yeah,
he will. He's given us everything we needed.
Yeah, and I think with food too, the community kind of helped in Delphi.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother issue.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable meals. I'll always remember this community for the outpouring of support for your family. But then that transition to us and how they welcomed us. Some of the best pies and casseroles ever. So yeah, we ate really well.
Yeah. Our community is really great. We open our arms to anyone, especially when somebody in our community needs help. And I think we kind of learned that after.
For sure.
So
you should be very proud of that. I hope everybody is.
I know I am.
Good.
I don't talk to very many people there anymore since I live away, but I definitely think we help each other a lot more now. Which department handled the initial response on February 13th when the girls were first reported missing?
Carroll County and Delphi City.
How quickly did police become part of the official search for the girls?
I think relatively quickly.
I think so too.
Yeah, remember, it's a very small rural community, so the word travels fast. And it was just, again, the outpouring of support. We've seen sometimes going to lose sight of that initially, but it was unbelievable.
As investigators walking around in the wooded trail type of area, like the area that was searched for the girls, what are some of the challenges that the searchers might have encountered? And what kinds of things were we looking for? Well,
certainly access was tough because it's very rural. And there's a lot of rolling hills out there, and there's a lot of woods. So that's always a challenge. The one thing that was not an issue at the time was foliage on the trees. So visually, there was more available than there would have been in the summertime before the leaves fell off. But that was a very challenging area, no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know I was terrified to cross the bridge, but knowing now what I know, I didn't even have to cross the bridge.
No, you weren't.
but
I did it
did.
twice, and I don't want to do it again. And twice on the same trip, one way and back. Now I want to do it again.
Yeah, Libby always forced me, and I would have to crawl like over like these
Yeah.
giant
I want to hear
holes. I'm
that
like, how
reference.
did they even cross it? Like, I would be terrified.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, one of the many things I admire my sister for. I could never have done that.
Right, me either.
Okay. And what kinds of things were we looking for while we were out there?
Anything unusual. Anything unusual at the time.
I have one big issue. When I was out there, I was looking for like my sister. So then when they're like questioning me, they're like, "Did you see anybody around you that you were like suspicious about?" I'm like, "No, I was looking for my sister, like on the ground somewhere."
Right.
So like now when I think back and they're like, "Who was with you at the time?" I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, and that's something. Yeah, and that's a good answer.
Yeah, I have no idea. If something hits me and I'm like, "Oh, that guy that I saw," I'm like, I'll say something. I'll tell you guys. But I'm like, right now.
And then that could happen eventually.
See, I just don't know. I just don't remember. But I mean, if I ever do, I'll tell you guys. You guys picking up on that bullshit? I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to be kid-friendly episode, but I'm losing my temper already. Did you catch that? Oh, but if I remember something, I'll tell you guys. I will. I'll be honest. I promise. I'll tell you guys.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah, and I think I've learned that through my forensic psychology classes. They're like, someday you might just click and be like, "Oh, like this guy was walking with me that day."
Right.
No, forensic psychology that I'm taking so I can better hide these murders. Yeah. If I learned that one day something might click.
Like right now.
Dang, he looks familiar.
Yeah.
And then remember, oh, that's what I saw. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And just right now, it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Not there yet. That's
I do write a lot so that I'll try to remember something.
Good for you. Yeah.
I still haven't. So did the police give specific instructions to searchers on what to look for and what to do if they found anything?
I have no idea. I wasn't there then. I have no idea. I hope so.
Honestly, I don't remember being told anything. I think the fire department told us to get a firefighter if we saw something and they needed to contact police, but I think that's all that I was told. And we all kind of met up in one place, and that's all that I remember. And then we all kind of separated and went in a million directions. Do you remember how many total searchers were involved on either day, the 13th or 14th? And how do you try to ensure that this search for potential evidence isn't lost or disturbed?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And there were lots. And that's always a concern, because we have to, from the law enforcement perspective, we try and look at these as a very methodical grid search. But you have to consider the worst case scenario too, so that you don't do what you just said. And that's, you might trample on evidence, you might miss something, you might think something's not important and it is. We don't know who's out there and who's where, who's done what, who saw, who picked up, all those things. So that's a challenge. And it was not just a challenge here, but it was a challenge everywhere. Anywhere that these kinds of things happen, especially in a rural area like that. So that it did create many challenges for us.
I think when I got there on the 13th, when my family first got there, we're like, "Oh no, something's wrong. They aren't answering the phone." Me and my uncle actually crossed the bridge. We were yelling for them down there. And I remember getting to the end of the bridge and looking to the left and seeing like somebody had fallen down the hill over there. And I didn't think anything of it. Like everybody goes down the hill. But now, like after taking my forensic classes, I'm like, I should have taken a picture of it. I should have
Did you see the disrupted ground? Is that why you thought somebody slipped down there? Okay.
Yeah, and there could have been a footprint or something that would have been helpful now, but I wasn't thinking the worst.
No, that's okay.
What? Did you see the disrupted ground? Is that how you knew? Yeah, but there could have been a footprint or something.
Okay. So sometimes that gets me Maybe there was something there.
Somebody knows something, Kelsi. I mean,
knows.
somebody's gonna wake up one day and say, I can't live with this anymore.
Yeah,
And that might be tomorrow.
absolutely. It's
Might be
coming.
tomorrow, Kelsi.
Were helicopters or search dogs brought in to the search? Why or why not?
Yes, our helicopter was brought in the next day for an aerial view, but even though there was no foliage on the trees, the view from up there was very, very difficult still. And at that time, we didn't have the technology on the helicopters that we have today. But it's again, that rural area is always a challenge, even from the air.
And were there dogs used?
I don't recall if dogs were used or not.
I think that they were brought in.
Yes, there were.
Like they were going to come in, but
Yeah.
then they found the girls.
That's as I remember
dogs-
that
That's
too.
how I remember it.
Me too. Me too.
When the girls' bodies were found, did the case immediately switch from missing person to double murder case, or was it a suspicious death type of investigation?
No, any one of those will always be the worst case scenario, and then we work it backwards. So that was a double homicide.
Yeah. Double homicide. That your hair is found yanked out from the root, wrapped around Abby's little finger in the midst of a double homicide crime scene in which Richard Allen's is nowhere to be found.
How quickly was the scene secured and an investigation of two deaths started?
Almost instantaneously, as I understand it. I got up there about 2 hours or so after the girls were found, and at that time it was completely sealed.
I don't remember where I was at that point. I was like all over the place. I went to my grandpa's house, my other grandpa, and then after that I'm like total blur until the funeral. And then after the funeral I can talk about whatever. But before then it's like everything's a little fuzzy stuff.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that the girls were laying side by side?
I can't talk about that.
Ooh. I want to back that up. Watch how he cuts that off just immediately. All right.
Everything's a little fuzzy stuff.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that the girls were laying side by side?
I can't talk about that.
Was a coroner or medical examiner brought to the scene? If so, who was that person?
They were brought to the scene. I don't remember the names, but they were there.
Were they our Carroll County?
It would have been.
Yeah, I know who they are. Not a problem. Can you verify that both of the girls' times of death are around the same time?
No. I can't answer that.
I gotcha.
Whoa. That's a good one too. Let's back that one up. What is she doing here? Okay.
Can you verify that both of the girls' times of death are around the same time?
No. I can't answer that.
I gotcha. How does a murder investigation start out for investigators?
Well, as I said just a few minutes ago, they start out as the worst case scenario and work them backwards. Once the investigation begins, things slow down. But I think most people would recognize and remember the first 48 hours. There's all kinds of TV shows and movies and things like that about that first 48 hours, and it's real. The first 48 hours is very important, but not just to make an arrest, but to gather the physical evidence that's there, because once it's gone forever. So it was very slow and very, very methodical. And again, this one created some significant challenges because of location.
And that's, I'm glad you mentioned like the first 48 hours of the show. When I'm in my forensics class right now, and my professor, the first day he told us that after we start taking these classes, we're not going to like watching them anymore. Because now I watch them and I'm like, why are they doing it like that?
Oh, you're so smart when it comes to crime scenes, Kelsi. You're so smart. You're professor in forensics. Is that duping delight I see on her face? Did I pause it at a perfect duping delight moment?
All this stuff wrong, and so it's just amazing to think that like they can solve that in like 55 minutes, and I'm sitting here like 3 years later. Like that's how it really works.
Well, the problem with that is people think that in 43 minutes of a 1 hour TV show that things can be solved all because of science.
Mhm.
That's just simply not the case. Sometimes it is, but we have this unreasonable expectation that science is a be all end all to everything, and it's not.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot more to it.
Yes.
So police scanner audio during the search revealed that the girls' undergarments or clothes were found during the search. Can you comment on that, or whether or not they were found related to the murders?
I can't.
So you're studying the police scanner audio as well? I don't know how interested I'd be in that if it was my dead brother or sister.
Yep. All right.
Remember, there's things that we know that only the murderer knows.
Yep.
So I can't talk about anything having to do with evidence.
Absolutely. And I know that, but I told them I'm going to put them in here. Anyway, police didn't announce to the public right away that the girls were murdered, but how soon did investigators determine that the girls were murdered?
I'll just say very early.
Yeah, right away, I would assume. Police choose not to release the cause of death. Can you say why that was?
Only the murderer would know.
Can you give us any details of where Libby's phone was found, and how quickly did you realize the phone itself might include evidence for the case?
I can't talk about that.
I mean, you're literally picking through every aspect of the crime scene and things only the murderer would know.
I'll skip that one. In past cases, police have reached out to companies like NASA and Disney. Did you enlist any experts in source with the video?
We enlisted a lot of experts, and that's how I'll answer that question.
At some point, investigators realized that there is a man captured on Libby's phone, and that suspect may be a potential witness or suspect. How long did it take for you all to figure out that he was likely a suspect and not a witness?
That has to do with an investigatory process, so I think I'll leave that question alone.
As an investigator, how encouraged were you that the video was a video and audio that you had found of a potential suspect?
Important enough that one day I'm going to tell her thank you.
Me too. I was pretty proud of her.
Very proud.
So I saw that, and so at DELPHI, the students and like the teachers weren't allowed to say anything about it because they didn't know how it would affect the kids there. So I was in a Spanish class, and I had just went back when that was released, and my Spanish teacher looked at me that day, and she knew that there was a press release, and she's like, "Kelsey, why aren't you there?" And I said, "Well, my grandparents are there, so that's okay." And I didn't want to be part of it at the time. I just needed to get away, and I was going to watch it on my phone because I could sit in the back and just be quiet. And she says, "Well, do you want us to play it in the class?" And I'm like, "You're not supposed to do that." But she shut the door and she locked it so nobody could come in, and she played it. And so like our whole class was sitting there together watching it happen. I remember everybody just going completely silent and just looking around at each other. And that was a really...
Was that when we were at the church? The press conference at the church?
I think that you were at the church.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very...
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, me too. That's...
Remember it like it was yesterday. Is that where you said, to the killer who could be in this room?
And that's kind of how I remember. I was with my people that were really close with me, and we were all sitting there together. And it was just, even the
That's
people...
kind of a neat moment for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, like even the people who know her were sitting there in tears because it touched them so much. So that was just a really amazing place to be in that moment.
Oh, that's terrific. Neat story.
Yeah. No. I'm skipping the ones about the video because you're not going to talk about them.
I won't.
Were you shocked or surprised after releasing the still photo and audio of the suspect and it went viral that he wasn't quickly identified?
I was. I was, and even a little bit disappointed, probably. And the reason I say that is I may be jumping ahead on your questions, but anybody that closes their eyes and thinks of a family member, or a friend, or a coworker, or a neighbor, whoever that might be, and you see them from the neck down, you know who they are. You know who that is. So somebody knows who this person is. So that's a negative to this, but it's also a positive to this to me now. I didn't realize that at the time, but I know that somebody knows who this person is.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And how shocked or surprised are you that it still hasn't been identified after 3 years?
Well, I can't imagine what you and your family have felt and experienced and endured over this period of time. But I carry a piece of the bridge of my car, and I can't wait to get rid of it. One day I will.
Yes, I'm waiting for that day for you guys too. I know you guys put a lot of emotion into it. Like even when people don't see it, they're like, "Oh, these cops are really bad people." I'm like, no, they're not. I don't know. I don't know where some of these people get their information about police officers. But
it has taken its toll, and this has become the focal point of individual lives to be able to bring this person forward and to allow your family to heal. The byproduct of that, the consequence of that is the consequence on other people, and then not just us, but community members. You know, people don't even know your family, but that now know the Delphi community. And remember, this is on the heels of the Florida fire. So two tragic events that occurred in one county months apart that remain unsolved.
Definitely.
Weighs heavy.
Definitely. And I think we just put ourselves out there and talk more, but I definitely advocate for them too. I hope that both of our cases get solved very soon.
Yes, me too.
No, you don't give a shit about the Flora fire or those poor little girls. Let's be honest here. None of your family does.
Oh, no. Is there any additional evidence that you would release in the future if it were needed to help solve the case?
Maybe.
How closely did you look at Abby and Libby's social media to see if they could hold any clues?
We know a lot.
How many tips did police receive early on, and how did you sort through what was potentially helpful and what wasn't?
Well, we had so many we couldn't manage them early on, and we're up to around 46,000 now. That's why we brought in the system the FBI offered. That helped us not only collect that, because remember, we can't, even though we collect it, we have to know what the action was, because I think we're just one tip away. So we have to make darn good and sure that we follow up on those tips that are appropriate, then we properly catalog them, because once the arrest is made, the investigation starts all over again.
Yep.
So that's when the real work's going to begin again. So it's really important that we track data.
Yeah, and it's important to keep some of that stuff to yourself, right? So that you have that when we go to trial.
We know a lot.
Yep. Let's do this question. I don't like it. Early on, police mentioned that there was some DNA evidence found and that it was going to be fast-tracked through the lab, but then noting else that there was never anything found. Can you state why no follow-up was given on that?
I can't talk about the events associated with this.
Can you say whether genetic genealogy using familial DNA profiles is possible tools to be utilized in the future?
Again, it's associated with DNA evidence.
Don't talk about that. To date, how many persons of interest and suspects have police looked at, and what makes a person a suspect as opposed to a person of interest?
Well, everybody's a person of interest in almost anything that we do. And I can't speak specifically to this with the number of people that there are, but again, we work these from the worst case scenario and then backwards. So that number would be a lot, but that would be up to the detectives, not me.
As far as the suspect in this case, are there any things that you are confident in as far as age, height, weight, etc.?
This is my own personal opinion. I believe that the person on the bridge that we have the photograph of is the murderer.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we have his voice, and I believe that we have a video of him walking. And that's why I know somebody knows who he is.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I think like if I looked at that and it was my grandpa, I would be able to tell you that's my grandpa right there.
Absolutely.
And that's because I see him all the time. So when people are like, why can't they release more of the video? I'm like, well, if that was my best friend, I would know who he is from that. So I don't think that they need to release more. So they ask me that a lot. They're like, is there more that they can release? I'm like, well, I don't know if there's more because they wouldn't tell me. But if there was, I would tell them not to release it.
Right.
So yeah, I make sure to tell them that a lot. Do you think personally, or is it the position of investigators overall that the suspect is likely from the area?
That would be speculative. My own personal opinion, probably at least some familiarity with the Delphi area. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think that you have to know the Delphi area to go across that bridge.
Well, that's why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't walked across the bridge, you don't understand, right?
Yeah, like that bridge is scary.
It is scary.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been a train on that track since I think 1929.
Yeah.
And those railroad ties are rotted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that bridge scares me. So for somebody to be able to cross it, just like watching that short video, just watching him cross it in that little bit, you're like, he's moving well enough that he has to know the bridge.
He's done that before.
Yeah.
That's what I think too.
So that's just me though too. Do you think it's likely that someone knows who the killer is and hasn't come forward?
100% sure of that, in my mind.
Yeah, me too. I think it'd be hard for me to look at that and know that that's my best friend and not say something.
Right. That's why we hope if a person does know and they're living in fear, let us help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
let us know.
Definitely. Like we can keep you safe. Oh, that's so hard. Has there been a profile of the killer created? If so, is there any information you can share?
I can't.
I was from 39 to 42. All right, pretty early on in the case, a composite sketch was released of the suspect. How did that sketch come to be created, and what from the video did you draw from to create the sketch?
Remember, a sketch is just a visual. It's not a photograph. It's a visual of what somebody might have seen. So that's all I'll say about the sketch.
In 2019, a new composite sketch of the suspect was created that looks a lot different to many people than the original sketch. How and why was the new sketch created, and why might it appear much different to people?
I can't talk a lot about that in detail, but I'll simply say that the investigation has evolved. And there are things we know we can't explain. And I know that there was a lot of anxiety about that. And even there was some confusion and some blame and some criticism of us. That criticism needs to come to me, not to anybody else. Because I absolutely supported that change. And I think there will be enough similarities in this person when we find him that we'll be able to see it in both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just have a feeling that it's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So when everything happened in the beginning. I didn't have a face. Like I have really bad nightmares, and so we didn't have a face. And then I don't know, like a week later, like before the sketch was released, he suddenly had one, and it was.
What's with all the faces? Are you guys seeing those, like, I hate to use the word retard, but she's making like disjointed faces from the things she's speaking, like a retard. Let me back it up a little. Let's see. Watch the faces. Just focus on the faces.
I didn't have a face. Like I have really bad nightmares, and so we didn't have a face. And then like I don't know, like a week later, like before the sketch was released, he suddenly had one, and it was not
the contorting of the faces.
The new sketch, not the old one, but it was somewhere in the middle. And so I always try to figure out what that face is. Like maybe I do know him, maybe I have met him, and that's the face. Like I'm giving it with the voice. I just don't know it yet.
Kelsi, you were spot on. I wish everybody would look at this that way, because the similarities, and let me back up. When people look at that sketch, they think, oh my gosh, that person is 20 years younger than the initial one, and they view it as a photograph. That is not what a sketch is. And it's really, really, really important people look at it like you do and understand that it's going to be somewhere in the middle, or there'll be some similarities between those with a booking photo that I know we're going to get one day.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to the day I can look in his eyes and tell him how much I don't like him. I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah.
You don't like him. I can't. Okay. The guy who brutally murdered my little sister and left her nude and butchered like a slaughtered hog in the woods. I can't wait to see him one day and tell him how much I don't like him. While my hair is wrapped around her best friend's finger.
One day.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to the day I can look in his eyes and tell him how much I don't like him. I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah, I'll stand with you.
Yeah. I can't wait.
I stand with you.
Okay, at the conference in which the new sketch was released, there was a specific wording and talk that seemed aimed at someone in particular. Can you verify if it was actually meant for someone, obviously the suspect, but beyond that, like a particular person?
Those were comments made by me, and no, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm assuming they were comments made by me, if that's what you're referencing.
It was, yeah, I think it was the way you word things.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing, I don't know if you can talk about it now, but there's the shack was used in it. Was that on purpose?
It was.
Okay.
Have you seen the shack?
There's the shack. Was that used on purpose? It was.
I watched it twice.
You know what I mean then.
Yeah. So I think one of the big rumors going on around, I guess, is that they died in a shack, or like there has to be some other meaning other than faith to it, which is something that we're trying to kind of get rid of that rumor.
There was no shack involved. Okay. Oh. But that had a really, the field had a really compelling effect on me.
Yeah, I think that movie in general, the first time I watched it, and it had like zero effect on me. I just kind of sat through it and didn't think about the meaning behind it, just because I just wanted to watch it as a movie. And then the second time I went back and watched it, and I cried the entire movie. And the third time I went back and watched it, I cried even more. And so then I read the book so that I could kind of dive deeper into it. And it actually helped me a lot with forgiveness in myself and being stronger going through it all and being able to help other people. So it's a really good movie.
It's so cool to hear you say that. I had to say it had the same effect on me in a different way, because I'm not, I don't understand what it's like to lose a sister. But that movie had such a profound effect on everything about our life that it was worth mentioning. It was worth mentioning. And if it had no other effect on anybody but you, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and it didn't even like then I was like, holy cow, he watched that movie and it affected him in a really good way. But I remember watching it and like watching the dad the first time and like seeing how he was feeling and like, oh, that's how my grandparents are feeling right now.
Yeah.
And then watching it again and watching the siblings kind of go through what they were going through. I'm like, man, that's what I'm struggling with right now. And
Your grandparents are strong people. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I could be the strong person that I am without them. So
How nice is that to say? Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like life just keeps throwing stuff at us and we still make it through. And that's just really amazing to me. Like most families, like in forensics right now, we're learning that like the statistics behind everything. And like most of the time families don't stay together at the end of this.
Oh, statistics. You want to talk about statistics about families?
And so being together 3 years after is really, really good. And like it's not even in the statistics, so that doesn't happen very often.
It's inspirational. It does not.
Yeah.
And you guys just take it. I mean, it just, gosh, it comes to you. And just best way through troubles right in the middle. And that's what I see you guys doing all the time.
And we definitely hold each other together. As soon as we have a thought like we don't want to be here anymore, we don't want to go through this anymore, we just keep pushing through it and we push through it together. And I think that's what helps us a lot. And other families, if you don't see that, and then like if you just do it this way, but you can't like force that on them. Sometimes they're just like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So, all right. During this investigation, the murders of Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins in Iowa were mentioned as being particularly similar in some ways. Investigators took it seriously enough to look into it and eventually decided the cases were not related. How did you come to that conclusion?
I can't talk about that, but what I can talk about is that we have a way of monitoring what's going on around the country in other similar cases, and that will continue. That will continue. We'll continue to follow up on those as they occur around the country, and as other communities, but more importantly, as other families are affected in such a horrible way. It doesn't matter where it is on the globe, we're going to go, and we're going to see if there's any similarities with what occurred here.
And you know what scares me more than not knowing who did it and not knowing exactly what happened to my sister is the fact that he's out there somewhere and could do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what causes so much anxiety in me. I think that's what keeps me going instead of stopping.
Right.
Is because even if I go my entire life not knowing, I would rather not know than it happened to another family.
Right. Good for you.
So.
Me too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that we're never going to tire on this, because we've got to bring it to your family. We've got to bring it to the community, because there's a likelihood that he has either done this before or will do it again. I think most people understand that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very scary knowing that he's out there somewhere. Like I could be at Kohl's when he comes up to my register, and I would have no idea. I might get a feeling, but I would have no idea.
Remember, this is a little bit different because we have a visual.
Yeah, that's true. If I can see him walking, maybe then I'll be like, "Hey, that's our guy. I'm going to leave right now." This is very long. So there have been a number of suspects and persons of interest, is a real word that I should have used, that you have looked into and publicly admitted that you looked into in many cases. These are people brought forward by tipsters and the public. Did any of these men seem promising, and how much of a letdown was it when you were able to rule them out?
I'll say in this entire investigation, almost 3 years now, that there have been a lot of highs and lows, because we're people too. And there's just been lots of highs and lows. I think there will continue to be, but that doesn't mean we slow down or stop just because there are some lows. Like you just said, what do you guys do?
Definitely, we stick together.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the first main person that we looked at, and we were like really hopeful about this person, and we were like, oh man, it could be him. And I think after that person, after we heard that it wasn't him, and like he was ruled out to us, maybe, but maybe not. not officially, you guys didn't tell us he was rolled out, but like to us he was, because we didn't hear about him again. So we got that, and we were kind of let down, we got less hopeful.
Right.
And I think after that we stopped looking at people like that. We stopped saying, oh, that's our guy, because after you get let down the first time, you're like,
Right.
you don't want to be let down, you don't want to get your hopes up. So after that we were like, we're not gonna put too much into these people
Right.
that these people are putting out there.
Well, you know, the other side of this, Kelsi, is we have to remember and realize this was such a high-profile case, as it should have been, and as it still is, frankly, that there's a lot still to this day going on the internet with people communicating and talking in different groups and putting side-by-side comparisons with a coworker or whoever that might be. Eventually, they're going to be right. Or eventually we're going to be right, or you're going to be right, whatever. But what if we're not right with a person? You know, and that's happened. So
What if you're not right with Richard Allen? What if you're not right? Is he revealing a strategy here? Let's continue to listen. He just said, what if we're not right?
So there have been people that have had a really hard time continuing to do what they do, and they were nowhere near this area. And that's happened nationally. So while we believe that people are really truly trying to help, that side-by-side comparison does not help.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you keep up with my Twitter account, but
I have no.
What about locking him up for 2 years to the point of near death and bringing him to trial?
Social media platform
Really?
by design. Yes.
I think Kim gets on there and Solcom, is that his
Tony?
name? Yeah, he gets on there and he likes my posts sometimes. So I know they're watching me, which is good, because there's some people on there I'm like, they're really creepy. But there's this one guy, his name, he calls himself Dexter. And today I got a notification that he made an account with using my name. And so this guy will post these pictures of one person specifically right now. It was Chase at one point. It was another kid I go to school with. And he'll post them. And he harasses these people all the time. And so it's just those people, like I know these people are innocent. I was with Chase, and like Brandon goes to school with me. Like, he's the nicest kid I've ever met. And
You were with Chase, so you know he's innocent?
Aaron is the nicest kid I've ever met. And so it's really crazy to me these people are like that.
Well, it's easy to say what you want on social media and hide behind a screen, right? Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, he he came to CrimeCon, and I didn't know this until somebody sent me the picture. He was standing right behind me and took a picture and posted it on one of his pages. I'm like, he's a very scary man, I think.
Yeah.
But he can do what he wants. Hopefully those people aren't affected as much as I think they are, because I would feel terrible if they like got really depressed or really sad and like couldn't handle it just because this guy is doing that because of my sister.
Right.
Are there rumors, theories, or just things that are not true or accurate that you would like to set straight?
Oh, yes, but I can't. Eventually I'll be able to. I want this to remain, if all of the discussion and innuendo and rumor and all of those things continue, this continues to draw attention. And I want that to happen. I don't like the roadmap all the time, how the speculation happens that affects you and your family, or affects your community or your school, whatever that might be. But like I've said all along, there have been people that have disagreed with me. We'll go and do almost anything that we can possibly do to keep this in the forefront. So I went to Megan Kelly and Dr. Phil, and we did those things together, and we'll continue to do that. We're not gonna stop. We're just not.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand that. They're always like the police right now. I think there's a really big rumor that the police are covering something up, which is not happening. And
What? Boy, this hits different in retrospect, doesn't it? Doesn't it hit different in retrospect? Oh my effing G. Holy moly. I missed that in prior times because I wasn't really sensitive to it like I am now. Listen to what that just was. I have to back it up. Just 10 seconds. Holy effing S. Okay. I mean, I cannot believe my ears.
People don't understand that. They're always like the police right now. I think there's a really big rumor that the police are covering something up, which is not happening. And I think people could just look at the fact that the law enforcement.
Narrative much?
So I went to Megan Kelly and Dr. Phil, and we did those things together, and we'll continue to do that. We're not gonna stop. We're just not.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand that. They're always like the police right now. I think there's a really big rumor that the police are covering something up, which is not happening. And I think people could just look at the fact that the law enforcement is going with us to do all these things and realize that that's not what's happening. Like they're putting so much effort into this. There's no way that they could be covering something up.
What the fuck? Whew. Talking points much?
Conversations with people before, and I'll keep those are private conversations. I promise you on lives of two people that are most important to me in my lifetime, and that is my daughter and my wife. That's not happening. While I'm here, there will be nothing of the like. Mm-hmm. And that's just a rumor. And that, today in today's world, again, it's easy to say something like that, but take a step back and think about what it would mean for that to actually occur. Mm-hmm. And it's just not.
Yeah, and I think the reason people think it is because there's a couple cases specifically that I'm working on that I post a lot about, but there is a lot of police corruption. And I think there are in other places, but I definitely don't think there is any here.
Jerry Holman, Tony Liggett, Tobe Lesenby, Unified Command. Wowzer. I mean, I had altogether missed this. I'm so glad we did this together tonight. I got to just go back a little, one more time.
Nothing of the like. Mm-hmm. And that's just a rumor. And that, today in today's world, again, it's easy to say something like that, but take a step back and think about what it would mean for that to actually occur. Mm-hmm. And it's just not.
Yeah, and I think the reason people think it is because there's a couple cases specifically that I'm working on that I post a lot about, but there is a lot of police corruption. And I think there are in other places, but I definitely don't think there is any here. Or at least in our case, maybe there are in other places. How has this case affected you personally?
Oh, gosh. Frankly, Kelsi, I don't know why it's had such a profound effect on me, but it has. And I think it's maybe my age, and maybe it's the time that I've been doing this. Maybe it's all the death and dying that I've seen in my lifetime. It's the sadness that I see in your family, and it's the sadness and response that I saw in the community of Delphi in your county. And then that grew into this bigger thing that was now the whole state. Then it grew into the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Then it grew nationally, and even grew internationally. And I feel tremendous pressure to solve it. And that's internal pressure, not from anybody else, but for all the reasons that we've already talked about. So I have pretty specific prayers I say at night, and they will always be included in those prayers, those girls and you. And I think about them every single morning when I wake up. Because it's representative of evil. And I don't believe evil is rampant in our society. I think most people are good. Mm-hmm. But this represents evil, and the effects of his actions change the trajectory of many, many, many lives. And I take that very personally. That's probably why.
Mm-hmm. I have had this feeling. It's a very big God thing, I think. So I don't know if you've heard the story of where I was at the time, but I interviewed a searcher for this podcast who was with me. She lost her brother when she was my age at the time. So I was 17, she was 17, and her brother died in a car crash. So she was actually the secretary at the middle school in Delphi. And so I knew her pretty well, but she wasn't like my best friend, wasn't really close with her. And so the day that the girls went missing, she heard about it, like it was going all the way around school. And she was like, okay, I kind of want to be involved, but like I can just do it from home. I'll just like look online, see what I can find. Well, she went to bed. The next morning she woke up and she was watching the news and she was just keeping updated online. And she was like, I don't want to go out and search. I don't want to be that involved. Well, she said, Kelsi, I don't know what happened, but I felt a really big kick in the butt. Like, I think God was telling me I needed to go get out there and do something. And at that moment, she went out, she got dressed. I think she was just wearing sweatpants and like Crocs or something to go out and like stomp around the woods. And like, she just got up and went. And so her group was actually going in a whole different direction as mine, but I passed her and she just like suddenly felt like she needed to go with me. And so she ended up being with me and we crossed the bridge together and we like searched underneath the bridge and we were down there on the like driveway, I guess it's under there. Mm-hmm. And we were standing there and that's when somebody yelled something up to me. And the way she was looking around, she saw the whole scene a lot differently than I did. But as soon as I heard the word shoe, I knew, like I knew it was them. Like there were no other bodies there. Like there was no way that it was somebody else. But I remember melting and just being with her in that moment was really awesome because like I knew that she'd lost her brother. She'd come and talk to the school. I knew that she was feeling what I was feeling, maybe in a different way, but she'd felt it. Right. And so like I think there's a really like God is all around. There's a reason she was there with you that day. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that every ounce of my being.
Yeah.
And you have this connect.
Did you notice him bring up all the death and the ruining and destroying of people's lives? Did you guys catch that too? In the midst of all that, he responded twice about all the death and dying.
Now that nobody can ever take apart.
Yeah. So I definitely think like even though evil was surrounding the girls in that moment and he took over at that time, God was still surrounding them and he was surrounding us and he was there and he's still his and he is going to make sure this is solved too.
Yes. Well, the end of the movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What happened?
Yep, he forgave them. I have no idea how he did that. I'm still not there yet. He just
no, but I'm thinking more of the field. Mm-hmm. Off they went.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Very good movie. And I think it's had such an effect on me too. I think my faith is stronger because of it. Wow. And so I definitely think he's definitely working.
Wow.
He can take it.
I think my faith is stronger. Wow.
Oh, yeah. You just gotta give it to him.
Yeah, I definitely hope that, like, my hope for the killer is that he does go to him. Like, even though he did kill my sister, I think someday I'll be able to forgive him because of that. And I think...
Girl, you ain't even met the motherfucker yet. Seems like you'd want to kill him first before you want him to go to God and forgive him. Sounds like you're virtue signaling a fantasy world narrative.
I hope he's able to ask for forgiveness.
I hope so too.
I pray for that a lot too. And like I feel like other people don't. Like my grandma's like, I don't think I could ever forgive him. Mm-hmm. But then like I watch the movie and I read the book and I read my Bible and I sit there and I pray and I'm like, I have to someday. Like you can't hold on to that forever. Right. Like that's not a feeling you can just hold on to.
It's not healthy, is it? Mm-mm. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But everybody deals with grief differently.
Yeah. So I watched.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I watched the way that my grandma does it, and like she's strong, she gets through it, but that's who she shows on the outside. And then she said this in an interview the other day, and I just sat there and I cried so hard. So when she got diagnosed with cancer, she said, I have a win-win situation. I could live through this and stay with my family, or I could die and go be with Libby. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I would be so sad
Oh my
that
gosh.
you can feel that.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
but
Kind of beautiful all at the same time.
yeah, like it's such a
Isn't it?
bittersweet feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she knows that that's where she's going. She'll be with Libby, but then the rest of us are here, and like you won't be with us anymore.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was, I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
He's not buying
I wish I had that outlook on
any of it.
You know.
Yeah, I need to look at that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that's where I'm going. I know I'll be with my sister, but like, I don't want to die right now. And like, if I had cancer, that is not what I would be thinking.
Yeah.
I would be like, I have to like
I'm fighting
be
this.
cured.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Me too.
Yeah,
Me
and
too.
she's just like, it's okay. Like, no matter what happens, I have a situation where I'm either going to be really happy here with you guys and we're going to solve this case together, or I die and I go be with Libby and I get to know everything.
Yeah.
Like, Libby will tell me, and I'll be like, everything will be here now.
Libby will tell me.
Yeah, but then you get to know everything and I get to be down here and just.
We're sad for those that remain, right? But we're all headed that way, and
Yeah,
we're all, if we believe, we'll experience His promise,
exactly.
that eternal life, and that's so important.
Yeah, and I think like we don't go to church regularly, but like I feel like we believe strong enough that that's where we're going.
I think you do. I think you do. Yeah.
And my grandma, she has like such an amazing face. I love her.
Cool.
All right, last question. If the person that murdered Libby and Abby can hear your voice, what would you want to say to him?
Call me. Call me.
Mic drop. Look at the eyes. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Mic drop.
I think the person has a bit of a conscience.
All right, last question. If the person that murdered Libby and Abby can hear your voice, what would you want to say to him?
Call me. Call me. I think the person has a bit of a conscience left.
Did you see that reality hit her in the eyes? Did you guys see that? Did you see her response to that? It threw her off kilter. I mean, that really hit. Like, she's got such walls up that nothing hits, but that was the armor piercing warhead. Yeah, that one hit like watch. I'm sorry to do this again, but just watch it hit her. Watch it hit her.
Libby and Abby can hear your voice, what would you want to say to him?
Call me. Call me. I think the person has a bit of a conscience left. You meet him anywhere. And I would be very respectful. That's what I'd say.
Awesome. No questions. I think I haven't ever really thought about what I would say to him. I've thought about it, but I have about 10 million things I would say to him. I just have like I should just write him a book so that when he goes to prison, he can read it.
That's right. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, and then that can be what he does for the rest of his life, is read that book.
That would be a good idea.
And that's it for you guys. That's it. Why go after Richard Allen? What's the deal with Richard Allen? I'd like to know. Pardon me? Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. But I mean, I don't like watching it either, but I figured it'd be an appropriate time to take a review of that. I'm especially struck that I missed the whole corruption part in the years past upon watching that little segment about the corruption being non-existent in Delphi. That always, it just flew by me, I guess. I missed it. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, Lisa. That particular statement hit her. It hit her. You could see it clearly. I mean, dude, can we just speak honestly here on this channel? We're not trying to hurt anybody. Um, so, broke the Iron Dome. There you go. Yeah, thank you. I mean, but let me ask you, okay, how about this way? Ask yourselves this. When have you ever seen the state police superintendent, the superintendent of the state police of any state, sit down in the kitchen with a family member and do a YouTube video Q&A? I'll wait for the response. Because you see, we get a little delusional in our contextual understanding of events. So just to set us straight. Okay, so yeah. I want to thank Rebby Lee for the super chats. Thank you for that. Never understood why the families let the young girl of the family be the spokesperson. And how did the grandparents become the parents? Yeah, that was wild. What's up, Jennifer? Jennifer Findley. Hello. Kelly hasn't seen that before. Well, I'm so glad you were able to see it before. I'll link the original down below as well in the description. So you'll be able to go and see it for yourself. Thank you, Sunflower Soul. All right. Thank God that is over. I'm so uncomfortable right now. So, yeah. Love Song says, I need a little schnapps now. I need to go lay down and go and chill out for the rest of the night. I can't talk about this anymore. I'm done. That was it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll wrap it up soon. Jeez. I think we did a great job though. We talked about what had to be talked about. Gosh, I need a stiff drink. You too? Like everyone's saying the same thing. All of you need a drink. Well, just be glad you're not watching the DNA lawyer stream. I'm sure that would be much more excruciating, possibly. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Nancy. Let me say what I think. I think they did the gag order to the family, which is not a thing that exists because they are not parties to the court, except unless they be a witness. They did the gag order to give the excuse for the family to not answer questions about Richard Allen and about this case. So this is the excuse the family can pull out of their pocket and say, I can't talk because of the gag order. But what they do, they go behind the scenes to Frank Meister and Marv and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and all the YouTubers to push their narrative. They set the troll farm against all of us who advocate for due process and don't want to convict him as guilty before he's tried. So they're able to do whatever they want, talk to whoever they want, pay whoever they want to do their bidding. But when it comes to the press or to independent parties, they're able to pull out the I'm under the gag order. Sorry, I can't talk about that. That's my opinion, Nancy. All right. Thanks for playing the interview, Prof. It's good to be reminded of the conspiratorial personality. She was baiting DC, and he was a cat after a mouse. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what we are doing. Remember, he said in that interview, I don't know if you guys missed that part because it was pretty innocuous, but he was commenting upon the public interest and how it went viral. This case went viral into the public interest. And he said he wants that. So, hey, what are we doing but following law enforcement's lead here? It's just lack of empathy. She has to use cognitive resources to present as a regular human. Her hair in Abby's hand, no sexual assault. Richard Allen said 3 girls. I mean, wow. I don't know. It almost felt as if she was flaunting that she knew he suspected her involvement. The family must have something on Carter to have them sit for a school project. Okay. Well, good point there, Rachel Peck. Thank you, Rachel. Well, wait up. Were those 10 and a half months of pregnancy, Eye of Apophis? Speaking of that, I've been saying this, but people usually ignore what I say. There are many things that have occurred in this investigation that are unique and rare. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That was after the change of direction press conference before the arrest of Richard Allen, somewhere in that interval. I forget. I'll go find it. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming for live and opening up a very necessary topic for today. Well, no one else was going to do it. No one else was going to do it because, like I said, what they're going to all run with now is various male DNA partial samples, meaning that there was sexual contact and physical contact with other males who were not identified, as well as family, blah, 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 blah. Zero discussion of Kelsi's hair in Abby's hand. Oh, you're talking about something we're trying to get rid of. The shack. Yeah, the shack. They want to get rid of the shack. Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you, Amy. Yes, please like and subscribe to both channels. This is my backup channel. Please go to my main channel, The Prof. Go to The Prof, please, and this one, The Prof True Crime. Please subscribe to my channels, become a member, send a super chat, a super thanks, buy me a coffee, Cash App, leave a comment, do all the nice things, hit the like. That keeps us YouTube creators going, please. We really appreciate your support. Yeah, well, I said before, Rebecca, the defecation is hitting the ventilation. You get what I'm saying? It's hitting the fan right now. And this is what everyone's been afraid of. This is what everyone's been afraid of. Because the trial for Richard Allen is going to bring out facts about this case that are going to open the door to the true solution about the truth about what happened to those girls that day. Okay. I'm going to step out on the porch and smoke. Stressed out. I tried the DNA lawyer thing. That's why I came here. Yeah, like being at the dentist, possibly. All right. Oh, yeah. Remember when they tried to keep that PCA sealed? By that, I mean Becky, Patty, and company. They stated in the arrest presser that anyone who wanted to interview the family had to go through law enforcement to get interviews. I found that strange. We will trust, we'll hand out banana breads and pizza, and everyone, no one will suspect us. Okay. All right. Yeah, I believe so, Rachel. I mean, what I came away from it with is message sent, you know. All right. See what we got here. That's been happening. Yeah, that's been happening. And like Rick Snay says, he proved his worth. And Carter owes him 10.5 months from Merck's to Dr. Phil. All right. But I'll go back. Before we end, I want to go back to my initial proposition. And that's there's not a hair pulled out from the root, gripped in the murdered hand of our victim, Abby Williams, that came from a sweater. I would venture to say that that sweater, when it was put on her, that her hand was already in rigor mortis and clenched. I would venture to say by the time that sweater was put on her, her hand was already a fist. And that hair was already in that fist. What that tells me, there's only two possibilities. The person who deposited that hair was struggling with the victim before the murder or with the victim's body after the murder, which means a grappling with the girl or a moving of the body. Okay. All right. So, thank you, Housebroken. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what? Yeah, and guess what was next to Pizza King? The GPS coordinates where some of these things were uploaded. How do you explain that? What's up, Captain America? We hope the defense will focus more on disclosing the truth about the Delphi murders, because we truly believe that the prosecution has done a good job of presenting the proof that Richard Allen was not involved. At least they presented proof that they have no evidence that he was. So, all right. So, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sons of God. All right. Thank you, Rebecca Ann. That's what I'm getting at, Sunflower Soul. That's what I'm getting at. The legal voices don't understand it. They are being influenced by the theater that was played out in the courtroom today, which was to hurry up and disclose about the hair and get it over with, and then to go into hours and hours of talking about all these various male DNA partials and non-matches and matches and blah 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 and semen. And so they tried to put out all of this misinformation or really distraction, all of this less relevant stuff, blanketed the day with it in order to bury the hair in the victim's fist. All right. Thank you, Housebroken. Another great live. I'm going to go in my closet and scream. Good night, everyone. Have a good night. Sleep well, Kelsi. I don't know if that was Mike or David Erskine, but no one fought like hell. It doesn't look like it. There are no defensive wounds at all whatsoever. How do you get... Someone raised an interesting point, and I put it on my community page. How do you kill two little 13, 14-year-old girls with a box cutter as a lone wolf, and neither of them have any defensive wounds at all. It ain't going to happen. It's an impossibility. Pizza King uploads, or at least near Pizza King parking lot. I don't know. Farm Bureau. Oh, send them, Sandy. Please email me them. Thank you. First time watching my lives. Well, there's more to see. So thank you. And please go subscribe to the main channel. All right. So the legal voices diluted by their own. Okay. Okay, so trying to catch everyone's comments here. The only way no defensive wounds is if drugged or tased. No, there's another way. Or multiple perpetrators where you have 2 or 3 other guys able to restrain the victim when you're causing the wounds. So the way that it's possible without drugging or tasing or anything like that is that you have several guys. And like I said, let's say you have 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 15. You could easily restrain both girls, cause these type of injuries without leaving any defensive wounds. You'd be able to do all kind of things, like easily move the bodies, like go put one body in the creek and maybe wash it off and then bring it back and then maybe redress it. And all of these things that are strange that would have taken time and multiple individuals, it would be possible if you had time and multiple individuals. Okay. Mike says they stuck together. How does he know? Was that an effort to make Libby a hero just for family cred sake or whatever? Okay. Ding dong. Thank you, ding dong. Up to her neck. Jillian, thank you, Jillian, for the super chat. Thank you for covering and fostering tonight's apparently unpopular yet necessary and logical conversation. Thank you very much. And Sunflower Soul, thank you, Prof, and everyone for being here tonight. Well, and if you just are coming in late, please do a favor and go back to the beginning and start over so that you catch the beginning portion, because there's some points I make that I think are relevant and important for context to the second half that we just had. Gagged, or one of the guys holding the mouth closed. Remember that one of the victim's faces shows some striations, almost as though it was a handkerchief or maybe a hand. There was some covering of the mouth. Okay. Thank you for that, Johnny R. Kramer. Thank you. The prosecution has done half the work for the defense. Thank you, Noe. Yes, that's what I'm getting at. Absolutely. Captain America says 9. You think 9 people? Kaboom, says Abram. I don't know what the kaboom is for, but kaboom. Maybe it was a point I made. All right. The way they described the scene today is not possible that only one person committed the crime. It's freaking common sense, and even the experts are ignoring it. That's the thing, because they are so dead set on this lone wolf Richard Allen killer thing that they're going to go with it all the way. Okay, they're going all the way with it, no matter. And what's going to happen? They're all going to be proven to have deceived the public. Now, when is law enforcement and the state supposed to be deceiving the public on a double homicide of 2 little girls? All right. Okay. Christine leaves a hearty face. Thank you, Christine. I do not believe the autopsies either. No, I don't believe anything. Everything's been a lie. Everyone's compromised. I mean, it's the exact opposite of what Kelsi was saying in that interview. Like, no, there is corruption, and it's deep, and it's in this case, and you're already starting to see it surface in the courtroom. So be prepared for more, because you better get your popcorn and put your seatbelts on, because the shit's hitting the fan. I agree, maybe to make them out to be heroes, but was really surrounded by crap around that family before the murders. Yes, all felons and meth dealers and bikers. Okay. Well, yes, there's the 2 a.m. screams. We got all that in the bag. Mentioned earlier, you must have seen the smoke signals I sent over the foothills. I was getting furious at the coverage, and suddenly you appeared. Yeah, well, I figured what was going to happen is they're going to make all the issue over the male DNA, even though it's a nothing burger, and they're going to ignore the elephant in the room, which is Kelsi's strand of hair. And guess what with that hair? I wanted to say this too. Have you ever had a strand of long hair caught in your fingers? I know many, at least you women have. It ain't going to stay there for long because it's annoying. You notice it. It's not like it's something she would have had all day intertwined in her fingers and just not noticed it and pulled it off or shaken it off. That happened. Sorry, that happened before she had the opportunity to free her hand of the stray hair. So the whole thing with it being when she puts the sweater on alive is BS. And I also believe the whole thing with it being in the sweater when she puts the sweater on dead is also BS, which means it came about as part of a struggle or part of moving of the bodies. I think they never tested it because they did a visual match. I think they tested the hair visually and matched it to Kelsi years ago. That's what they did. And they said, oh, just like everything else, we're going to ignore that. Just like we didn't take any of the family's cell phone dumps, just like we didn't, or just like we deleted 70 days worth of investigation and interviews, and just like we did all kind of other things that are criminal, we're going to ignore the fact that Kelsi's hair was on Abby's hand, which they had visually matched. And I think that they had to go ahead and do it. Their hand was forced at this 11th hour to do it because they knew that defense was going to push on it. All right. All right. All right, guys. Love the comments, but I'm going to get out of here pretty soon. Oh, interesting point there too, Dick Redshirt. Like that's another anomaly I meant to bring out, and I'm going to be in further discussions or future discussions. But the whole issue with all the anomalies about who found what and when and where, Who found the girls? Who found the shoe? Who found the clothes in the creek? Who did this? Who did that? Who dropped off? Who brought here? Who picked up? Who did this? Who brought to this park? Who played baseball? Who did this? Bop, 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 bop. Always confusion. Why? Shell game. Exactly. It's a 4D shell game. Right. All right, guys. So let's see. It's annoying. That's what I'm getting at. Thank you for backing me up on that. AKR 3121. You understand. It's freaking annoying to have a hair, you know. It's annoying. You pull it right off. You free it. You free it from yourself because it's you're sensitive to that. So the thing is, the whole gaslight about the Kelsi's hair, it ain't gonna fly. So it will have to eventually be addressed. Okay. She says there was a heterosexual couple arguing under the bridge. Is that true? I have long hair and I find hair on my shirts, but not wrapped around my fingers. Yeah, sometimes it gets in my mouth, but it's never gotten in my fingers. If the hair was merely on a sweater, it wouldn't have become entangled around the fingers from quickly slipping. Mr. Prof, I don't believe it either with Kelsi, not because of the hair, because she changed her story of how many kids was there many times. And how many vehicles was there, and who was there, and what she did, and when she went, and when she left, and where she went, and blah, 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 blah. It's never a straight answer. All right. The abrasion above the wound is significant. Wouldn't law enforcement want to know which meth heads had ankle monitors at the trails? Shouldn't they be able to easily see that? Create a fog. No one will see the light. Where was the sweater? Yeah, where are the photos? Not, hey, Jessica, not just that. Where are the photos? You have two young girls in 2017 when Snapchat was at its highest and Facebook was still newish and all of this shit, right? 2017, two young girls, both had phones. I guarantee you, each of them had a phone. They're not taking a ton of photos. Good night, JoJo. Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks. Wait, is it Hicks? There's so many Shelbys. There's so many everyone's. I get confused. All right. Major red flags when no one that was actually at the bridge. Well, the ones who were at the bridge, who did testify, or at least near the bridge, what did they testify to see? To have seen? What did they testify to seeing or to have seen? They testified to seeing someone who appeared to be like Bridge Guy. 5'9", 5'10", muscular, huge, scary looking with a squarish jaw. That's who they testified to have seen. Who did they not testify to have seen? Richard Allen, a little 5'4" guy, a little shrimpy little 5'4" guy. Which means immediately Richard Allen's not Bridge Guy. All right. Allowing the interpolated videos which are inserting, in other words, they've inserted pixels into that image. It's not evidence. It should never be allowed. I have hair down to my lower back, and I've never had a hair stuck between my fingers outside of a shower. Exactly. Me too. Welcome here, Danielle. Yeah, me too. I've never had, other than washing my hair, I get that. All right. They were probably geocaching with Kelsi, or so they thought. She led them to their slaughter. Well, I've heard that theory before. Urban Dictionary banana is a sexual reference. I'll just say it. I'll say it. Didn't Ellie recover photos from the forensic phone review that had been deleted from the actual cell phone found on the scene? Kind of confused about that at this moment. Let's see. It doesn't make sense. I don't think so. I mean, the thing is, the Abby on the bridge photo, that's not from Ellie. It was not on the phone. The community passed it around as alleging that it came off of Snapchat. And out here in the real world, most people have said it was photoshopped. Even experts, digital graphic designers, have asserted that Snapchat of Abby is photoshopped. So where did it come from? Where was it taken? Was it taken? Where was it made? Where was it uploaded? Was it uploaded? So many questions about that Abby Snapchat. Possibly we'll never know the answer to, at least not yet. All right. Garden Gnome. Yeah, it's another one. How big is Chase Wilbur? Does he have a square jaw? I don't know. So, Prof, if they had something of the girls or their phone number, or if Richard had a Anthony Shots account on one of the phones they found, I don't know if that's a full question or a partial, but no, Richard Allen, they have not tied to Anthony Shots. They have not tied to the girls. They have not tied to the crime scene. They have not connected to being Bridge Guy. So who is Richard Allen? Does he have a connection to any of this? And if so, what is that connection? What messages were sent between Kelsi and Anthony Shots? Well, we know that Kelsi was catfishing her sister, pretending to be cute guys. Isn't that what Anthony Shots was? And what about this other girl? What's her name? Come on, help me out, guys. The girl who introduced Anthony Shots to the girls. Chase is tall. Yeah, who was T? Maybe Tara? I don't know. Yeah. I think if it was something we would have heard about it. It kind of seems like another nothing burger. Remember, this case is so full of noise. That's called disinformation, misinformation. They've interjected or inserted into this case over the years to make you not be able to see the forest for the trees. There's just so much information everywhere, irrelevant, BS, so that you really miss the important things because you have 500 other things to focus on. That was done intentionally by the troll farm who was working on behalf of the family. Kelsi had a conversation with Anthony Shots, but didn't find anything incriminating. Okay. All right. So whatever happened to the alleged Pinterest account that belonged to Richard? that was posted all over YouTube right after his arrest at press conference. I've tried searching, can't find it anywhere. It's probably wiped. You're probably talking about Holly. She's deleted her account, or she's just privated the account. So that's all gone. But there's so much that has been wiped from the internet in general. Many of you in the chat who are long timers will know that. There's been so much that has been wiped from the internet with this case. Why? But see, what they didn't expect is that we'd have 150,000 screenshots and video recordings, screen records. So they weren't able to disappear everything. All right, so a 5-minute phone call, to me, that's a long call. Try and see how long the conversation. Well, yeah. Or a 5-minute texting. In other words, it was all BS. She lied. Okay. She lied. She tried. That was called getting ahead of it, damage control, like they've done with every single aspect of this case, just like the whole story with the sweaters. Made them take a sweater. It was unusually warm, but it was unusually cold. So I make them take a sweater so they won't be cold. And it came out of my trunk so I can explain why there's my DNA on their dead bodies. All right. Wipe the recorded of a known killer I mentioned to you that threatened me. I was just looking for the info back up today. Yeah, I've said, please send me any information you want. Send to my email. I have lots and lots and lots and lots of emails. Oh, I see what you're saying, Demiel. Well, all of that, I'm certain law enforcement took those accounts down, but I guarantee you that it's all among the community here. We have it. It was all a nothing burger, though. I looked at it all. When I looked at all of that after his arrest, this whole guy is basically a nothing burger. It's interesting why they would take a nothing burger guy and try to bring him down for this. Why? I believe, Prof, I do think we've been trolled, maybe by the family, or maybe the killers or killer, or we have been attacked by something. I agree, sir. Yes, we have. It's called the Troll Farm, which works to cover up the murders of Abby and Libby on behalf of the family. People are dead. Okay. It was unusually warm, and she made them take sweaters because it was unusually cold. Jesus, man. Insanity is what it is. All right, so we're out of here. Okay, I'm out of here. Trolling can go deep. What a mind F. Yes, people have died. Talk about gaslighting. The killer has been on YouTube and commenting on these type of videos. I believe you. I believe you. I mean, I believe there's several killers. I don't like saying the killer. I truly do believe we have several killers of these two girls. It's a group. And so they're still out there. All right, so we're out of here. See you guys later. Love you all. Again, if you're on the replay, please leave a comment down below. Your comments make the shows keep going, because when this live stream is over, the chat's over. But if you comment down below, let your voice be heard. We care about it, and we always discuss. And I know that everyone who comes and watches the past live streams on the channel, They always love the comment section and leave comments. And it's a conversation, two-way conversations. Please leave a comment if you're here on the replay. Also, leave a super chat, something like that, Cash App. Support the channel. Hit the like. And more than anything, talk to your community here in the chat and in the comments, okay? There's some really good people here in the channel. Everyone to add and a lot to offer, and they do. And hey, that's why I continually come back on and do more, because the conversation is always great, and a lot of people know a lot of stuff. And I know that we won't rest until the truth about what happened to Abby and Libby is known, because that's the only true justice for them, is that the truth rise to the surface. Okay, that's better than blood. It's better than revenge. It's better than someone in a death sentence, okay? The truth rising to the surface about the murders of Abigail Williams, Liberty German, is the greatest justice we could see. And that's why we're here. And when it comes, we will go away. So God bless you all. And thanks for all the wonderful comments here. I just appreciate it. I'll leave the chat open 5 or 10 more minutes so that you can wind it down, and I'll join you there. But I'm getting off of here now. And that's it. It might be a ringer club, maybe 100 strong or more. I agree, the prophet. Well, thank you so much, Johnny. I agree. It's a big group, and it's something will be done. I have faith in the end. Okay. All right. Good night, all. Yes. Good night, Frenchie. All right. Good night. Yes, we're praying. I tried to control the swearing until about the past hour, so I think I did okay. Okay. Thank you, Sandy. Yes, thank you so much. Okay. So let me say good night to everyone. Sandy, Noe Amos, Westy, Cromley, Aaron, Amy, Dick Redshirt, Nancy Drew, Danielle, Sunflower Soul, Frenchie 6290, D Smiles, Lisa, Digital, Johnny Kramer, Cromley, Dick Redshirt, Sons of God, Swade Smith. Who else is up in here? Two Ears, One Mouth, Sunflower Soul, Ding Dong, Pam Sheehan, Old Mort, New Mort, Eye of Apophis, Sons of God, Jillian, Amy, Sweet Dude Shibby, It's a New Day, Rebby Lee, Jillian, and anyone else who was here earlier. I'm sorry, I'm not going back that far, but anyone else who was here, good night to you. Maria, AKR 3121, and Captain America, and everyone else, good night to you all. God bless. I love you, and good night.